Aloha, my good people. Welcome, welcome back to episode three of the is it episode three? Episode three of the Around the Wicket podcast. This recapping week three of the IPL, and it's another week without Om. Man is chilling in Switzerland still. So yeah, we'll see him. We'll see him back eventually. But for now, it's just me, Vivian Anand, and obviously we have Rehan Gore here. Uh, and yeah, a lot has happened in week three. We've seen some changes. We've seen some changes in fortunes for multiple teams. So we're gonna talk about all of that, and I'll just get the ball rolling. We'll start off with CSK. So CSK obviously started off with four losses. By the way, as Rehan showed me that someone pointed out the same number of they lost the number of matches that they've won trophies. Like CSK have won four titles and they lost um, their first four games, and then they registered a win against RCB, and we have to see what they do against Gujarat Titans. But if Sunrisers are anything to show, it shows that momentum is everything, and so it'll hopefully CSK, as a CSK fan, hopefully CSK will uh, bounce to the top. And yeah, the match against RCB was a very fun match to watch. Obviously, we were hard carried by Dubey and Uthappa. Gaikwad again wasn't really able to perform to his potential, which is disappointing. But yeah, Uthappa stepped up. We saw him get a few starts early in the tournament, but he stepped up. I know you're a big fan of him, ex KKR lad and all. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously they had a really good game against RCB. Their batting was good, mainly Robin Uthappa and Shivam Dubey, of course. Um, I love Uthappa. He used to be with KKR, won Orange Cap for us in 2014 when we won the title. So obviously a big fan of him. And he delivered. He was really well. He played really well. Scored 88, which is his highest IPL score, and it was a good time to do it because CSK were on a losing streak. And obviously Shivam Dubey, who Om despises, and he scored a 96 against Om's favorite team, which is fitting to say the least. He batted really well, and he's been batting really well for the last few games. This was his, I think, second 50, and he had a 49 once also.
Yes.
So he's been in good touch, and he's lucky he got the number four position in CSK because not many teams would have given that to him. So he's lucky CSK showed the faith in him, which is what I said they would do if you check out the post auction recap. And I told you guys that Shivam Dubey would become a different player under CSK, and it's looking that way. And hopefully for CSK fans like Vivian, that continues. So their batting has been pretty solid, mainly Uthappa and Dubey. But another thing that was a positive for them out of that RCB game was Theekshana. Their bowling has been subpar this tournament, and Theekshana took a four for. Obviously, he's a sort of mystery spinner from Sri Lanka, and he showed what he can do in the last game. Vivian, what are your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, Tikshna played really well. He obviously got four wickets, and yeah, CSK went all in with playing two foreign pacers, or I mean three foreign pacers. You have Bravo, of course, and you have Jordan, who are the foreign pacers, and then Tikshna is a foreign spinner. Sorry, I meant three foreign bowlers. Um, yeah, Tikshna bowled really solidly. He sort of sealed the game for CSK. The match sort of it was despite a sort of late or middle over revival from RCB. CSK had sealed the game relatively early. I would say we got like 4 to 5 wickets of the main RCB, the core of the RCB batting, which is Virat, Maxwell, and Faf. We got them pretty early. So yeah, it was a good game. Tikshna bowled quite well, so that's positive for CSK. Now CSK has three, as we talked about in the last episode, which you guys should watch. Oh, also guys, we also upload shorts and clips and stuff. So if you don't have time to watch the whole episode, check those out. Um, yeah, what I was saying was, as we talked about in the last episode, CSK's strength. We talked about how the best part of their bowling is obviously their foreign bowling. particularly without Chahar. They have a useless Indian contingent in like Chaudhary, and Dubey with the ball is still not very good, despite him being good at the bat. And yeah, this just strengthens my position that CSK's bowling strength lies in their foreign players.
Right. And speaking of foreign players, Moeen Ali has not been firing at all. Couple of runouts, a few low scores. I know it might be sacrilegious to say this, especially coming from me, who I love Moeen Ali. But
Yes.
do you think there might be a case for switching Moeen Ali out for someone like a Devon Conway, especially since Moeen barely bowls?
No, I don't. I
Not
don't think
right
it.
away, of course. Not right away, of course. If maybe a couple more failures throughout the next week.
Um, I don't think they will. I don't think they should. You're right. Moeen doesn't bowl. He can bowl. He's a bowling option, particularly in cases where, as we've seen in the past, which has happened. CSK's some of their bowlers, their Indian contingent, specifically Mukesh Chowdhury, Shivam Dubey, don't fire. Moeen Ali is a handy fourth bowler, and so the four of the five bowlers for CSK would be foreign bowlers in this, the foreign players in this situation. But either way, he's a handy spinner to have. He's obviously a right arm off spinner. CSK has another sort of backup spinner in Jaddu. Or when I say backup, I mean not in the main bowling contingent, but he's obviously a left arm spinner. So I think he's important to have, and I think we have to give him time. We know how lethal he can be. He can single handedly win you games. Uh, when he's in good touch, he'll come in one down for CSK and sort of take us to a very quick 120, 130 and say 13, 14 overs and just let our finishers do the job. Um, to be fair, our finishers haven't been the best. More of our strength in the only game we've played, the strength has lied completely in our like robust middle order. I never thought I'd be saying that about CSK because I didn't really uh, back their middle order previously, but as we've seen, they're robust middle order, and so yeah, I think Moeen just has that. I don't think they're gonna add Conway. Where are they gonna put him? They're not. Then I don't think they'll play him 1D. If they bring him in, they'll want to make him opening. I don't. They're definitely not gonna replace Gaikwad, and they're gonna keep Uthappa up front after what he's done. So I don't think it's gonna happen, and I don't think it should happen.
Yeah. Sorry for bringing that up. I know it's a tough topic for
Yeah.
CSK fans. um, but that's CSK. Vivian, I want to ask you one last question about CSK. Do you think they have what it takes to actually turn this around and do a sort of comeback like SRH has shown?
Will they come back? I think they could very well develop a winning streak, but I don't think the team has the capability. Considering the strength of some of the other teams we've seen, even if CSK beats some of those teams, I don't think the comeback will be sufficient to displace the top four and enter the playoffs. But I will always hold out hope. Uh, Even if there's a 1% chance it'll happen, I'll back them. So I don't think it'll happen. I'll still support them all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Okay. So now we've talked about your favorite team. Let's talk about my favorite team, the team which I support, KKR.
Mhm.
Um, KKR have lost two matches straight after a really strong start. They're 3 wins, 3 losses right now. And what do you assess about their current performance? How does their team look in general? And do you think these two straight losses have been a significant worry for KKR?
Um, I still think KKR is definitely playoff material. I don't think there's any doubt, and that's just because of their Caribbean contingent. We talk about the Indian contingent a lot. Their Caribbean contingent. Russell is firing once again. We talked about it last week as well. Um, and obviously you have Sunil Narayan, who they played him in a really weird spot. They played him at like I think it was 4 or 3. They played him up, but not like opening. We talked about how he should open in the last episode, guys. Go watch it. Um, we talked about how we thought Sunil Narayan should open. instead of Ajinkya Rahane. Instead, they did the usual. They dropped. They brought in Aaron Finch, which we warned against, and they played like Narayan at 4, which is a 3 or 4. I don't exactly remember, which was a strange choice. Uh, but no, I don't think this is an actual cause of worry. I think they need to just sort out their batting order. The Ayers need to fire a bit. Venki and Shreyas Iyer, they need to fire. Um, and yeah, I think KKR is still looking like a fairly solid team. What do you think as a KKR fan?
Yeah, I mean those two losses were disappointing. Our batting has let us down, our bowling has let us down also. But yeah, I agree with what you said. Our two West Indian, Russell and Narayan, those guys are doing really well.
Hmm.
Narayan's economy this tournament has been 5 runs per over, which is fantastic. Best this season. His economy is the best in the IPL period, but he's just an amazing bowler. Even though he's not taking the wickets, he's choking down the opposition batting and strangling them for runs. Um, Russell also, he's been finishing great. Even the last game, he was a great finisher. Got us a quick 45 or 44, 46, something around that. And against Sunrisers, and he's just been performing again. He even did decently well with the ball, picking up a couple of wickets. So those two are definitely carrying us like they always carry us, like they've been carrying us for the past 10 years or so. But we're not new to that. It's normal for us. But yeah, is it time for Narayan to open? Because they've obviously got rid of Rahane. I don't think he's coming back. They've got Aaron Finch. I have a feeling they'll play him a couple more games,
Yeah,
but he's scared of the new ball because it swings and he gets LBW every time. Uh, and as an opener, you can't really be scared of the new ball. That's not a trait you should have as an opener. So hopefully he does well. I still have my doubts about him, but I'll back him. But I think the first chance they try to bring someone else, it needs to be Narayan opening. Um,
yes. And okay,
yeah,
say Narayan doesn't open. Does he play at 4 or like 3 like he played in this game, or do you keep him at 6, 7?
I think there's no point of Narayan batting anywhere if he's not opening. Like, why waste him at 4 or something? Use him when the power play is there, when the fielders are inside the circle, so he can take advantage and just randomly swing, get some boundaries. 4, 7 doesn't really make a difference. He'll maybe hit a couple boundaries and he'll get out. So
Yeah,
just let the normal batsmen come in and not have wicket pressure on them, because Narayan will get out inside 5 balls if he
yes,
doesn't open. Um, yeah, so that's been a trouble for KKR, but another big trouble for them is Pat Cummins. He's bowled uh, 11 point something overs, 11.3 or 4 overs, and he's given 140 runs and just taken 3 wickets. For the number one test bowler in the world, that's a bit too many runs. Do you think it's
yes.
time for them to think about Saudi?
No, no. See, the thing about this, you like a similar question, obviously, with Moeen. With these foreign players, the thing is their potential is so much higher than just getting a temporary replacement. The what Moeen could do and what we've seen him do for CSK is, I think, a far greater asset than what Conway could do. And similarly, we just saw. Okay, so your proposal Saudi in for, you're saying drop Finch, push Narayan up and get in Saudi. Or are you saying in place of Cummins?
Either in place of Cummins or just in place of maybe Sam Billings, who didn't play last game because of an illness, but like just there to add extra support to that bowling unit. Because Pat
Okay,
Cummins,
yeah,
it
definitely
does a lot
not.
of the bat too.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not Cummins. He's definitely not a replacement for Cummins. As you said, Cummins has been expensive. Actually, this week we had a lot of pretty good players being expensive. Even Fizz was quite expensive. We'll get to that. Um, but either way, yeah, there's no way he replaces Cummins. Last week, Cummins was our thumbnail because of because of his innings. and so that's definitely not going to happen. I wouldn't mind dropping. They won't do this yet, but I wouldn't mind dropping Aaron Finch, pushing Narayan up, getting Narayan at the top, and then you have an extra foreign spot, and then you bring in Saudi to help with the bowling. But I wouldn't do anything right now. I think for KKR, it's not a matter of what your team is. I think it's a matter of order, the batting order as we talked about, and it's a matter of just the players that you're backing performing. They should do a CSK and try to make as few changes as possible. Just back your players.
Yeah. So KK has been doing well with this, and the last few games they've had a bit of they've had some bad games, but according to you and me, they're still definitely in the race for the top four, right?
Yes.
Right. And moving on, another team that I think will be in the top four personally is Delhi Capitals. They also lost the last game, and they have some issues, not really big glaring issues, but just player issues in terms of their form,
Hmm.
which are Nokia and Mitchell Marsh. Obviously, Nokia came in 3 games ago, that might be now, and bowled absolutely horribly, got taken out of the attack because of two height no balls. And Marsh yesterday didn't look like he could bat at all. He was like 14 of 25 balls or something.
Yes.
So, do you think they've already taken Nokia out of the team? Do you think Marsh will be taken out of the team next game so that he gets more net practice, match practice? Because he only just came in and started practicing the day before his debut.
Yeah, that's important for DC. I think DC is a team which lost their last match. They look very good on paper at least. That too with a firing David Warner, Warner and Prithvi Shaw at the top with both of them firing. That's incredible. And they shouldn't have lost to RCB. They were absolutely in the driver's seat, and then they just sort of collapsed. But yeah, no, I think it wouldn't be. I think they should first of all give Nortje a few more chances. Uh, Nortje is obviously a fantastic world class T20 bowler. We've seen what he's done in the IPL before. He's fantastic. They should give him more chances. And I don't think they're gonna drop Mitchell Marsh, but yeah, sure. I mean, drop him for a game, give him some more practice. As you said, he just came to the side, let alone this being his first match. So you have to cut him a bit of slack there with regards to his performance, and the way he got out was unfortunate, to say to say the least. Um, so yeah, Delhi still looks good. You had Rishabh Pant, who looked quite decent, and the thing about Pant is, if you look at the boundaries, they weren't even like great shots. They weren't middled necessarily. There was one six. I mean, and this happens in a lot of Rishabh Pant innings, but you could see he wasn't really in his best form. He was just muscling balls away, and a lot of them were going for boundaries. So I mean, what works works. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Rishabh Pant continues because he played well, but he didn't look good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they have some issues, but it's kind of weird because if you just look at that team on paper, it's a very good team. Obviously, their opening combination, as you mentioned, Warner and Shaw have been doing fantastic for them. Shaw just unleashes in the power play, and Warner, he's David Warner. We know what he can do. I think he had like 6 straight 500 plus seasons for SRH. Um, he's too good, but Mitchell Marsh needs to get his stuff back together. So does Nokia. I don't think Nokia is out permanently. I think they just want to give him a few more net sessions after the injury, maybe a
Yeah.
couple more practice matches. And I have a feeling they won't do that for Mitch Marsh. I think Mitch Marsh will start in the next game, which is against RCB. No, wait. The last one is against RCB, my bad.
They just played
But
RCB.
yeah, I have a feeling he'll still be there in the next game. And Pant, he's been okay this season. He's had glimpses where he might where he looks like he's like the player that we saw at the Gabba 2021,
Mhm.
but the rest of the time he's been kind of mid, to be honest.
They're playing
Um,
Punjab, by the way. That's the next game.
yeah, okay, cool. So Punjab, a
Mhm.
weaker bowling attack, so they might try and take advantage of that. Um, but yeah, Delhi has another huge problem in their batting. Rovman Pal, he's been doing absolutely nothing for them.
Yep.
And personally, I feel like Sarfaraz Khan should be in that team. He batted once, and he was their best batsman that day. And then since then, in the next match, they didn't even give him batting. He went after Shardul Thakur. So and he's had a fantastic Ranji season. Uh, I personally think that they should back him. Delhi's always been not great with managing their Indian players, but I think Sarfaraz should get into that team, and I don't think Rovman Pal can sustain in that 11 much longer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the DC has a similar thing to KKR in the sense that in their team, I don't think there are particular glaring issues. I mean, in the last game, a few people didn't perform. Powell, as you said, Lalit Yadav didn't perform, I believe. But they're not going to drop him. He's still a good player, and he played well in their first couple of matches. He had a very good inning there for DC. And yeah, I think once again, it's just a matter of sticking to their team, bringing Nortje in, obviously. And if the three foreigners, namely Warner, Nortje, and Marsh particularly, are able to fire, then DC is in a very good spot, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully, we know they have the players, but hopefully the players can stick in their performances together and get DC back to the winning ways. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum, a team which doesn't look like they have the players on paper, but are suddenly winning games, 4 games in a row now, after 2 straight losses. Sunrisers Hyderabad, they've been doing really well. They beat KKR, of course.
Was it? Is
Um,
it 4 games in a row? I think it's like you.
no,
Oh,
it's 4 games in a
you
row.
meant 2 games in a row after four straight losses.
No, they've won 4 games in a row after 2 straight losses.
No, no, no. There's no way. Have they actually?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow, I haven't noticed the streak. I thought it was like a 2 game streak. Jesus.
Yeah. So they've surprised us all, and I think the key for that is Rahul Tripathi. Okay, so Rahul Tripathi is an ex-KKR lad, and as I say about all ex-KKR lads, they're possibly the best players you can get in your team, especially if you're playing KKR, which Rahul Tripathi showed by getting 71 in 37 balls against KKR, completely strangled us and completely ended that game for us. Um, but obviously, I don't mind because I just love Rahul Tripathi. He's like intent personified because he just goes there and from ball one, he just hits. He doesn't like put value on his wickets and always takes risks. He's like a full team man through and through. Um, Even in the 2020 final against CSK, when he was injured, he still went out there and batted. I just love Tripathi. I think he's better than many of the batsmen in our current Indian team. Um, right now, I won't mention who, but yes, I just love Tripathi, and I'm so happy that he's doing well, um, because I love him.
Yes. This is I think every week there's a there's a new ex KKR player who Rehan's gonna sort of rant about. Last week it was obviously Shubman Gill. This week there are two he didn't really with Uttapa. But okay. We'll take Tripathi. We'll take Tripathi. He's a very good player, of course. And yeah. Man, like how many people do you think wear that type of helmet? I think it's him, DK. Is there anyone else?
No, it's just DK. He took that from DK, obviously from their playing days together in KKR.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. I like that helmet.
Yes.
Um,
Is it like a baseball
but
helmet? It's a baseball helmet, right?
No, it's not a baseball helmet, but
Isn't it? It looks like
it's
it.
some weird design, probably like
Okay.
ergonomic in some way, and clearly it works for them. They both are in a golden run.
Yes.
They both also wear golden helmets. But yes, um, yeah, another batsman who's been doing well for them is Aiden Markram, and he's been doing sort of the role you would expect Kane Williamson to do, like just anchor the innings throughout while Tripathi or Puran just goes bonkers. And then in the end, when you need the finishing touch, he can take that strike rate a notch higher. And he's been doing that really well. I think he's got 350s this season, two back to back. He's looking solid.
Yeah, he is. He's his the role that he's playing is, I feel like, a good example of what we talked about as to what we expect. This is way too convoluted. What we expected out of Rassi. I feel like the role that he's playing in sort of a stabilizing role, but as you said, can up the ante towards the end. And you obviously likened it to Kane Williamson as well. But I think that's also the role that um, Van der Dussen wants to or should be playing in the IPL. But yeah, I think you pretty much said it. Aiden Markram's a very good player. SRH's trajectory, it confirms, as I said while talking about CSK, that IPL is very much a momentum game. SRH is obviously looking terrible. They beat a terrible team in CSK at the time, and now SRH is looking far better. Obviously, it's it's all on. I feel like you can put it pretty much all on their bowling lineup. Their bowling is incredible.
Yeah,
Particularly,
let's talk about that. They
yeah,
have a four-man pace attack in Marco Jansen, Umran Malik, T. Natarajan, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and all four of them have been doing really well. Marco Jansen up top, Natarajan's been getting those Yorkers in, and he's been phenomenal. He's up there on the purple cap leaderboard, tied with UV right now. Bhuvi's been swinging it in the power play, also nailing those Yorkers as we saw against KKR.
yeah,
And Umran Malik, he's just been bowling pure fire. And today morning, he had a 4-4, and in his final wicket, he took 3 wickets, a run out, and 2 dot balls. Uh,
his final
a
over, yeah.
maiden 4 wicket 20th over in a T20 match. That's unbelievable. And obviously, he's going to get 14 lakhs just for
14
free
lakhs.
by,
Yeah, I was about to mention that. That's probably the
yeah,
stupidest addition to the IPL. See, there are like levels. There's the I obviously you can criticize the six policy, but the thing about sixes is you contribute to your team. Hitting a six is actually good for your team inherently. Like, if there's no situation where hitting a six is a bad thing, there is a situation where the focus shouldn't be on bowling fast. That's not the point. Because then you bowl fast, you try to bowl a fastest ball. Okay, one over, you just dedicate to bowling fast. You get hit for 36 runs. Look, I take 1 lakh for 36 runs any day of the week. Okay, that's a great deal. And it's a really stupid rule. I don't know who greenlit that. That was incredibly silly decision. And as Rayan pointed out, um, to me and the purple cap, I think, gets like 10 lakhs. And Umran Malik at the end of the season, that is if SRH don't make the playoffs, you never know. We'll get at least 14 lakhs, which is insane. It's insane that he's you're getting more for being the fastest bowler than you are for being the best. And that's not to say Umran Malik is a bad bowler. I'm not saying that he isn't a possible contender for the purple cap. He's incredible, as Rehan just mentioned. But the fastest ball getting 1 lakh every match policy is it's a travesty. It shouldn't be a thing. It should be banned immediately.
yeah, easily the best fast bowling unit we have in the IPL, especially with Kartik Tyagi still yet to come in with his injury. And they have possibly the best mentor I could think of in my favorite fast bowler of all time, favorite bowler of all
Same.
time, and even for Vivian's favorite bowler of all time, Dale Steyn, as their fast bowling mentor. And I'm sure he's helping all of them very much so. Um,
Yes.
so hopefully, as we said, before IPL, we all thought that SRH was a weak looking team, but they're making the best use out of their resources and performing better than anyone expected. So, good luck to SRH, and hopefully for all of the SRH fans out there, they continue performing this way.
Dude,
Um,
SRH is in the
but
top
now,
four. That is insane. That's incredible
yeah, yeah,
after how awful they looked. I mean, you compare the way we were talking about SRH in episode 1 to episode 3, week 1 to week 3. it shows progress. It's really cool to see that a team can just turn around like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great for Tom Moody, Brian Lara, Murli, and the rest of the gang. Um, yeah, let's move on. Our next team is Rajasthan Royals, and Josh Butler is probably the best T20 batsman in the world right now.
Hmm.
In their last game, um, he was on fire in the power play. He was just hitting everything. He scored a quick 50, and while he was still on the crease, it looked like Rajasthan Royals had a chance against Gujarat Titans in a 190 chase. He's been fantastic for England. He's been fantastic for Rajasthan. Obviously, already scored 100 this time, and he just looks really, really good.
Uh, yeah, it's true. Also, by the way, a quick update on the current CSK match happening right now. We obviously talked about Tikshana getting 4 wickets. Oh, for the audience, we're recording this at the time of CSK GT. Tikshana has taken 2 wickets out of three, and Gujarat is clearly struggling. So that's it looks like a dub for CSK unless Miller and Tewatia can pull something from out of their ass as they have done numerous times in the past. Okay, yeah, my bad. Where were we? My bad.
Josh Butler.
Yes, Charles Butler is incredible. Obviously, scored the century early on, and at the beginning of the tournament, he was looking a little bit shaky, but then he got into his flow. Uh, yeah, you covered everything. You spoke about him for a fairly extensive period of time, and so yeah, that's pretty much it. Josh Butler's looking incredible. Obviously, a lot of people consider him um, the new Mr. 360. Oh, it used to be ABD, Baz. Who else? I think there was one more dude in the 360 gang. Either way, nowadays, now with Baz and ABD retired, new 360 is Butler. Yeah. I'm just rambling here. You've said everything. He's incredible.
Yeah, but one thing, obviously, Rajasthan now are doing a lot of interesting things every week. Last week, we talked about Ashwin's retired out.
Oh
This week,
yes,
they sent Ashwin in at number three.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now I'm a bit surprised since they have Rasi, they have Sanju, they have Hetman, they have Rian Parag, they have so many players, and yet you send the test match batter to bat in the power play. I mean, with all you could have done inside the power play, you send Ashwin. Um,
yeah.
I really don't get it.
Yeah, I think the only time Ashwin's ever gone at three was probably as like a night watchman in a test game, as you said. He's a test batsman. Uh, he is what many consider to be like some not many, some have considered to be like a weak six. Okay, if Ashwin is your number six, then even I maybe would consider it a little bit weak because he doesn't have the ability to sort of accelerate. And as you said, with Ara's depth, it made absolutely no sense. Okay, if you're gonna absolutely throw away one spot, throw it to Rasi and ask Rasi to let loose. If you're gonna ask someone to go in and let loose with the depth that you have, you're gonna leave it to Ravichandran Ashwin. That's it was 100% like it was probably that Ashwin came up with the retired out thing was probably like a bet from from someone in the RR management staff, and then he did it. So then the clause is that he goes in at three because there's no way
Yeah,
if there were no contingencies, a rational person would do that.
yeah, and we talked about this last game. You can't expect a youngster like Rian Parag and like give him the hardest position in a T20 game, finishing at 6-7, and expect him to do that well, especially when he's so young. If you're sending anyone up for that number three spot, at least send in Rian Parag. Give him some confidence that you have faith in him, that there are people behind him, so that he can play his natural game and knows even if he gets out, there's Sanju Samson, Rassi, Hetma, there are people behind him, Nisham, who can take on um, who can like take on the bowlers even if he gets out. But if you send him all the way back where all he has behind him are the bowlers, you don't really give him that confidence. So if anyone should bat up the order, it should be a youngster like Rian Parag. I really don't get this move by by Rajasthan.
Yeah, send
Yeah.
literally anyone except Rashid.
Another thing we noticed during the game versus Gujarat was Trent Bolt was obviously missing due to injury, and that really messed up their whole balance and their bowling unit. They had to bring Nisham in, and Nisham is no Trent Bolt, and that just messed around with their side a lot. And as we've seen with MI also, Trent Bolt is really important to whichever team he's playing in. So I think they need to work on getting him right back in and make sure he's fit.
Yeah, we talked about Ara's primary bowling, like the as Om said, running circles around the batsman, Prasidh Krishna and Trent Bolt, and yeah, Trent Bolt was missing. Ara needs to get him back. RR has had like RR's team, while still the best on paper, and I would still argue is a winning team. I would still argue that they go ahead and go ahead and win the IPL. They've been on a bit of a weak streak recently. A lot of like some of their players not performing. Obviously, you have Butler performing up top, but on the bowling front, as you said in the last game without Bolt. So yeah, they need to bounce back from that. Hopefully, they don't let this losing momentum pull them down to the ground because they're a fantastic team.
Yeah, talking about injuries, Mayank obviously got injured in the morning, but and they brought in Prabh Simran who obviously failed. But Mayank in his last game before he got injured, he scored a very good 50, and he looks like he's getting back in touch, which is really important for Punjab. How important is it that Mayank continues and gets back into his his scoring routine?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how his lack of scoring was very probably just a direct result of the pressure on him being an IPL captain. That's no responsibility to be taken lightly as one of the coaches of Delhi. I forgot who said when someone asked whether it was a an honor
Ponting,
or a sorry.
Ponting said it.
Nah, I don't think it was Ponting. It was some other dude. Okay, whatever. Being captain's hard. Being captain of an IPL team when Mayank hasn't captained a team of that caliber, obviously, ever. So I feel like I'm just like a whatever I say doesn't happen because I talked about how SRH would continue would despite beating CSK would still lose, and they've absolutely shot up, particularly with their bowling, which I did call that to be fair. But I said that Mayank's batting would not particularly improve, and he scored a very he had a very good he had a very good inning. And so yeah, that's incredibly crucial. The problem with Mayank becoming captain was the problem that you have whenever you make an important player in your team the captain. That the duty of captaincy and the pressure of captaincy would sort of make you neglect what you're in the team to do fundamentally, which is to bat and to bowl and to field, or not to field, to bat and to bowl. And seeing Mayank in form was a very good thing. It'll be really good to see what he does when he comes back. I believe Shika was captain while he was out, right? Was Dhawan captain? Yeah. So when Mayank
Yeah.
comes back, he'll be hopefully he continues to bat in his captaincy role because that'll be really good to see. But you never know, man. It's a hard job.
Yeah, and speaking of their batsmen, they've got a new uncapped player who's been performing really well at number 5 for them, Jitesh Sharma. He's been really impressive, scoring at a high strike rate, giving high impact runs, and in the recent Said Mushtaq Ali Trophy, he was the highest and biggest six hitter in the tournament. Obviously, he's been performing really well, and I think he's been going under the radar a bit because that's what happens when you join Punjab. I'm sure if he was in MI or CSK or RCB, people would be talking about him a lot. But I've been really impressed by him.
Yeah, same. Jitesh Sharma, I believe he was he one of the two uncapped players that we had talked about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, last week. As we talked about, yeah, as you said, if he was in any other team, you'd be getting more attention. Now that he's in Punjab, he's popular among the seven Punjab fans across India. All seven of them know his name, and so Yeah, he's a good batsman. There's not much to say. Punjab's Indian talent is looking really good. First with Mayank, I should say first with the uncapped Indians coming into the side and performing for them. Obviously, this like Jitesh had even played well, and we talked about it in our last week's series, and then as we just talked about Mayank, and yeah, I think Punjab's core as opposed to many other teams is Indian, as opposed to CSK probably, or I shouldn't say core, I should say they're some of their most important players. They obviously have Liam Livingston, who's just a baller. But barring Livingston, they have Dhawan, they have Mayank, they have Jitesh, as we talked about. They're continuing to back Arshdeep, despite him not having had the best season so far. But I have hope.
He's not been getting the wickets, but he's been delivering well in the death and giving really good economies.
Yeah, this is true. He hasn't been taking wickets as you've been mentioning. So, yeah, he's Punjab's Indian contingent is their main thing, and yeah, we'll have to see where it goes.
Right. So about Punjab's team combination, I don't think it's really working for them. Rajapaksa, I feel, needs to be in the 11. He'll do a better job than Odin with the bat, and Odin's not a 4 over bank with the ball anyway, so I don't think he should be bowling. Instead of maybe Jitesh Sharma or Shah Rukh Khan, um, they can bring in. Wait, I'm blanking on his name. Uh, the Himachal Pradesh captain. Rishi Dhawan. Sorry, my bad. Rishi
Okay.
Dhawan.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just led Himachal Pradesh to their first Vijay Hazare Trophy when he was doing
Yeah.
amazing with the bat and ball. I feel he'll be a better bowler than Odin anyway. And based on current form, Jitesh Sharma should stay in the team, and Shah Rukh Khan, who's not been doing much, could go out easily. And I think that would bring a lot more balance to Punjab's side.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, Rishi Dhawan will definitely do better with the ball. With regards to Odeon versus Rajapaksa, I think they see Odeon as being a more a better sort of come in the last couple of overs and just hit some sixes kind of player. And he kind of did that. He did that in the first match. It's
he's done that
surprising
one
how
game.
much. Sorry.
He's done that one game.
Yes, this is true. But I mean, that's a reputation he has, and that's clearly what they're playing him for. Like they're not playing him as sort of a stabilizing position. And also, it's I don't think they're gonna drop him because they have a surprising amount of faith in him. Like with the ball, they gave him another last over in a match that could have gone the wrong way, and it was 13 of 3 again. In the other match, it would have been hilarious if once again it did not go Odeon's way. That would be two games in which he he completely loses the game. Obviously, the first one being against GT with Tewatia. But yeah, I agree. I think the balance is a little bit off, but I don't actually think they're going to make the changes that you suggested. They'll definitely have a little more faith in Shah Rukh. I think they'll keep him in the team a little bit longer. And I definitely don't think they're going to bring back Rajapaksa, even though he was, as we mentioned last week, there was no fault in his playing. He didn't really mess up.
Yeah, he was doing really well for them.
He was doing quite well for Punjab.
Yeah, so I don't think they'll do these changes, but I think if they do, it'll help them a lot and just make them a more well-rounded side.
Mm.
Um, okay, Lucknow Supergiants, KL Rahul played his 100th match and scored 100 in his 100th IPL game. Um, Good stuff, huh?
Yeah, 100th games for a few people there. I think it was Maxi's 100th IPL game as well this week, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Uh, yeah, KL Rahul had a very good time with the bat. I mean, so far this season, he hasn't been doing badly, I wouldn't say, but he hadn't been living up to his potential every game. He had gotten up. He had gotten a few starts, but in some of his games, he just wasn't able to really get going. And as you said, yeah, he scored a very good century for the Lucknow Supergiants, and yeah, it was a real captain's knock.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely uh, good for the Lucknow Supergiants fans. He's getting back into good touch, and it wasn't even a slow 100. He scored it at almost a 200 strike rate, which is great for them. But other than that, not much to talk about. Lucknow, um, along with Gujarat, top two teams on the points table as of now, and they're the top two new teams, which is surprising. But one more thing, they got in Manish Pandey back for Krishnappa Gautam, which I found surprising because Gautam did a lot with the ball for them. But big Manish Pandey fan, of course, man of the match in the 2014 IPL final for KKR, ex KKR lad. You know how I love those. So happy to see him back, and hopefully he performs uh, when he gets more chances.
Yeah, yeah. We've seen already. You've shown support for two ex KKR lads, and Manish is the third. He's one of those players who I feel like whenever he gets the chance, he's always hitting. He's always scoring decent runs, but not enough to put him in a position that makes him sort of irreplaceable for the team. He's always chipping in here and there, and he's been doing that for years, by the way. He's how old is he at this point? He's always been like a fairly prominent figure in the Indian circuit, but he hasn't been a he. I don't think he's been a team X factor. Obviously, as you said, he scored a century for KKR in IPL final, but he
92,
hasn't. Sorry, he's 32.
92,
Oh,
92. He scored 92.
oh, I was his age. What
No one
his
scored a
reason?
century for KKR since the first IPL game ever when Brendan McCullum scored 150. But since then, we've not had a single centurion.
Oh, damn. Okay, he scored 92.
Closest, I believe, was Dinesh Karthik with 97 not out against Rajasthan Royals in the 2018 IPL playoffs.
Okay, that's it's good to know, man. Either way, my point was, yeah, Manish Pandey. It'll be interesting to see what he can do. As you said, I wasn't sure what to make of it. They dropped Krishnappa Gautam. Oh, speaking of which, I don't think we've mentioned. I think we only mentioned in week one how Ara's spin bowling is completely leveled up. They had like Krishnappa Gautam and Shreyas Gopal, and now they've upped the levels to Ashwin, who's been doing a madness throughout this whole IPL. But either way, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. GT and LSG are fairly uneventful. Uh, LSG did give Stoinis. They did not like try to make him play as few balls as possible as they did in the first match where Stoinis played. But yeah, Stoinis failed to yeah, Stoinis failed to perform and really score runs. But it's only the second game. Things are bound to get better. A performing Stoinis will be fantastic for LSG, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the new teams. They're pretty
Yeah,
set.
and since we've talked about ex-KKR lads, why not just keep on that? Um, for Gujarat Titans, Lockie Ferguson, he's pretty good, huh? He bowls fast, he takes wickets. He
Yes.
had a he had a mediocre game without wickets, and he was giving runs 2 games ago. But in his last game, he came back into 3 or 4 wickets, which is great to see. And he bowled, I think, the fastest ball of the IPL at this season at around 154 clicks,
Yeah.
which is good. Ex KKR lads, obviously great players, so not surprised to see them performing well.
Yeah, I mean Lockie isn't. I wouldn't call him as much an ex KKR lad. He wasn't there for too long. However, yeah, Lockie's a great bowler. You know how much I like my New Zealand Pacers. You got Adam Milner, Lockie Ferguson. Previously, you had obviously Mitchell McClenaghan for the Mumbai Indians. Yeah, yeah. There's not much to add. There's not much to add there. Lockie's a solid bowler, but he tends to be quite with as the trend is with a lot of pacers, he tends to be fairly expensive sometimes. Uh, but that happens. He's fairly expensive sometimes, but he also gets wickets when he bowls a good length. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the new teams, is it not?
Yeah, no, an interesting thing Gujarat did was they brought back Vijay Shankar in the last game.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and what I and the only comment I need to make about that is why.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, we're just so confused about that.
I've probably seen like in. I think in. I've probably seen, and I've seen a lot of games where Vijay Shankar has played. In all of the games, I don't think I've seen him score more than 20 runs, or at least that I
Yeah,
remember.
it's just a really weird move to do that. I mean, Sai Sudarshan, uncapped play, he was doing decently well. Only got 2 games, but he did decently well. Vijay Shankar just doesn't look like he has the confidence to succeed at this level. Whenever he comes out to bat, he just doesn't have confidence. I don't think he has that self belief, and it's clearly showing because he can't get ball to bat. And when he does, it goes straight to slips or the keeper.
Yeah, I think Sudarshan came in. He looked okay. Like he scored, I think, 11 in one of the games of like 9 balls.
And 30 something in the other.
Yeah, I mean, nah, it's not like a very. He's not a great replacement. He's much better than Vijay Shankar. Give him a chance. We can see what he's made of. He's obviously gotten more starts than Vijay Shankar. Vijay Shankar hasn't shown anything. So yeah, it was a useless move.
Yeah, yeah. Another good thing about Gujarat Titans is Killer Miller. Killer Miller is completely back in form. In his
Yeah.
last game, he helped Hardik Pandya, who we'll get to later, but he helped him with the finishing touch. He scored like at around 250 strike rate. He was really good, and even recently, while we're recording this against CSK, he's 62 off 33 balls. So Killer Miller is back. As the South Africans say, if it's in the Ark, it's out of the park. Sorry, I can't do that accent, but you get it. It kind of rhymes. If it's in the
Yes.
Ark, it's out of the park.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, that was a horrible accent attempt.
Oh
Um,
no. Okay.
and
Yeah.
I already know Vivian's gonna upload this as a clip,
Yeah. That's
but
definitely a clip. It's a short.
but but yeah, let's move on from that. Hardik Pandya, what a player! I mean, in his last match, he took a wicket, he got a run out, and he got 87 in like 40 odd balls at batting at number 4. He looked like a proper batsman. He paced his innings really well, went ballistic at the start and anchored at the start and kept rotating strike throughout the middle. It was a really good innings, and Hardik Pandya, when bowling, when batting like this, is almost a lock at us in our World Cup 11.
I feel like have you ever heard of those stories of kids who when they're at like a lower grade level than they're mentally at, they don't perform well at school, and then you give them a challenge and you make them like skip a grade, and then they actually start doing well. That's kind of Hardik Pandya. You put on him the burden of captaincy, this entire responsibility, which cripples a lot of players. As we talked about Mayank in the first part of the IPL, hopefully he gets out of that. Hardik has just embraced it. He's been a fairly decent captain. He hasn't made like he hasn't done anything bad so far. GT has been doing very well. He's actually bowling well with the ball. He's hitting like 140 sometimes. And obviously with the bat from the beginning, actually he's been fairly consistent with the bat. I know you criticized him last week for sort of
That was the
slow.
first week. The first week.
Oh, first week. Okay, for sort of slower innings, but he's really found his footing, and it's exciting to see. Hardik Pandya is a very good player.
Yeah, it's great to watch. A fit Hardik Pandya is what Indians will be wanting at the World Cup Down Under later this year, and I'm sure it makes Gujarat fans very happy. Um, okay, we've talked about teams who are doing well for a while. Now let's talk about teams who are not doing well. 6 straight losses in a row for the Mumbai Indians. It's really sad for Mumbai fans, and I feel kind of sad at this point. Like 1 loss, 2 loss, sure, fine. It feels kind of good because they won too many times, so they deserve to lose a bit. But now they've lost more games in a row than they've won titles, and
Yes,
it's getting a bit too much. This has only happened twice before in the IPL. Delhi Capitals in 2011 or 12, and RCB in 2019, and both of them Delhi and RCB finished last that year. Um, I'm sure it's not something Mumbai fans will want to hear, but it
Yeah.
it looks like that's going to be likely.
Yeah, I mean, until the sixth loss, we were all banking on that one IPL in which the first five games were in UAE, or not. We were all Mumbai fans. I'm not a Mumbai fan. We're all banking on the fact that in the UAE leg of an IPL season a few years ago, Mumbai lost the first five and then came to India and bounced back after
Yeah,
a
they
devastating
reached the
start.
playoffs in 2014.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I think it
KKR
was
won that year.
I think it was
Had
courtesy
to
of
have to
that
throw that in there.
Corey Anderson innings. Do you remember that against RR? I think it was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
game.
it was
That was
fantastic. Yeah,
that
yeah, I
was
remember.
incredible.
It was insane.
He needed like 195 of 96 balls in order to get them to qualify, and he destroyed RR. That was an incredible innings to watch. But either way, now with their sixth loss, and it's so sad because I've never rooted for MI before, but I like their team so much. I love their middle
Yeah,
order.
yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
Brevis, he's been playing awesome for Mumbai, like awesome. He looks like he belongs, and he's just been destroying bowlers. In his recent match, he scored like 38 of like 14 balls
he
or
had like
something like that.
38 of 13 or something
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, it was insane. He looks a really good prospect for them and for South Africa in the future.
Yeah, I mean, in the last episode we backed Tim David, but okay, he's not coming back this season. Okay, the spot has been sealed. It's in the battle between Dual Brevis and Tim David. Brevis has come in two games and he has dominated the competition in Mumbai's past two games. Obviously, Mumbai is still lost. But he comes in, he plays his game. Sometimes he gets out. That just happens. But the thing is that he's a fearless middle order who Mumbai needs. Him coupled with you had Tilak Verma. They both had an incredible partnership a couple of games ago, and then Mumbai's batting sort of collapsed. They should not have lost that game. That's another example of
Yeah,
DC shouldn't have
Mumbai's
lost against RCB, and Mumbai shouldn't have lost that game. They were cruising. Their middle order is robust. That's a word
yeah,
that
the
works.
middle order is so good. Tilak Verma, Karen Pollard did really well
Yeah,
last game. Fabian Allen, we know, can hit a long ball. Brevis and Sky, obviously, who's fantastic. But their openers, Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma, probably the two they thought would be their best batsmen, have not performed. Rohit, we've seen glimpses. Ishan also glimpses, but that's really a worrying thing for them.
yeah, yeah. And you mentioned Sky as well. Sky has also been very good. He came in just for just a couple of matches now, or just a few matches now. He's been brilliant. One of his games, I don't remember how much he scored exactly. He scored like 60 of very quick innings. He's looking incredible. He's striking the ball really well. It's depressing to watch how bad Mumbai's fortunes have been, and I shouldn't say fortunes because that makes it sound like luck, but how bad Mumbai has been as a cohesive team unit. They given their team, they should be doing much better. Until their sixth loss, I still would have backed them to go into the playoffs as I did last week because they look incredible, and it's so fun to watch them play. But yeah, something's just not gelling. As you said, their opening partnership isn't working good. Their middle order should be enough on the batting front. It looks incredible, but it's just not.
Yeah, even with Rohit and Ishan not performing, their batting still looks good because of that middle order and lower order.
Yeah.
But their bowling is just not in bad. Like
Yes.
they would want Bumrah to bowl 10 out of 20 overs. It's really sad. I have a feeling most of that bowling unit is going to be gone next year, and they'll get a fresh set of bowlers.
Hmm.
And if they keep the same batting, that could be decent, especially with Jofra Archer back. But this season is just not it for Mumbai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to our last franchise right now, and um, they're probably the last franchise in terms of talent. Also, RCB. Um, the the bunch of losers. Um, but today we're going to talk about some good things from RCB. Um, Dinesh Karthik, what a player! 68, 66. He has an average of over 200 at a strike rate of also over 200. He's just absolutely insane. Ex KKR lad. I love him. I will never stop loving him. He is possibly my favorite cricketer of all time now, even though he plays for RCB.
Yeah. Oh my God. That Dinesh Karthik innings was fantastic. We, in terms of RCB in general, we saw even in the CSK game. They had two games this week, of course. I believe CSK and DC. I don't remember if the one before that falls under this week. But the CSK game, while they did get utterly pummeled. And I'm so disappointed that Om isn't here right now. Man's chilling in Switzerland. While I think that's why he went to Switzerland. He planned it so it's during the RCB CSK match, so he won't have to deal with the consequences of such a terrible team. But either way, yeah. Despite RCB looking quite bad, and obviously it was really unfortunate that Harshal wasn't able to make it. That would have made it a little bit better. But the one bright spot, if you can say that there was their middle order batting, was their middle order Indian contingent.
Yeah, Maxwell also very good 50.
Exactly,
And
Max.
actually, speaking about their batting and Maxwell, I have a stat to bring up. RCB batters in overs 1 to 6 in the IPL. So in the power play, Glenn Maxwell 20 balls 40 runs, Virat Kohli 20 balls 24 runs, Anuj Rawat, the guy you love and the guy who I say is awful, 76 balls 73 runs. That's under 100.
Hmm.
Faf du Plessis, who you also love and who I also say has not been doing well, 75 balls, 61 runs. That's at a strike rate of 81.3. Then they have David
Wow.
Willey, who's played 11 balls, 6 runs, and Rutherford with 12 balls, 4 runs. So Maxwell's easily the best in the power play, and he's easily looked the best. And RCB's middle order is hard carrying the top order. So that's Maxwell, DK, and Shabazz Ahmed. Shabazz has surprised me this season. He's been giving really good support to DK throughout the season with his batting. And to be fair, I'm really impressed by him. Obviously, he comes from he plays for Bengal, so he's a half KKR lad, and that's probably the reason why he's doing so well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot you brought up there. I will not defend Faf in this case because I believe his role is to be the aggressor. At least after an initial couple of overs, his role is to be an aggressor, and he should know his players. He should know that Anuj Rawat will come in, and he's not someone who can hit from the get go, and he has to take that responsibility on. So his strike rates abysmal. I will, however. Oh, my bad. I will, however, continue to defend Anuj Rawat because Anuj Rawat's role in the RCB opening is to provide stability. Okay, RCB has a bunch of powerhouses. Can't
They have Virat Kohli. Why do you need someone to provide stability?
you
It's an
need
L
you
in
need
T20 match.
you want Anuj Rawat to come in, hit 65 runs of 45 balls. I know that was his like one innings of grace so far in the tournament. You want him to hit about 65 45 balls. You have Maxwell who comes in and okay, think of this, okay? Think of a Faf who's allowed to run let loose, okay,
Dude,
followed
you
by
have
Glenn.
three players. You have three players outside the circle. Use this time to get runs, not to like just settle
That's
yourself
what
in.
Faf does, dude. You can make that argument for
You
literally
can't have Faf and Rawat opening and Kohli at 3. They all do the exact same thing, and they
Faf.
all are shit against spin.
No, the
It's literally the
the
most useless batting order ever. Get Finn Allen in or open with Maxwell. Just put Shahbaz at 3. I don't care. Those three cannot be batting in a row.
the point of Faf at two is that we've seen how lethal Faf can be. We saw it in the first match. How he sort of turns on. He was a little bit slow as you mentioned last week. He had a strike rate of below 100. If you have Anuj Rawat playing that stabilizing factor, okay, you have Faf who comes in after the first like one or two overs, is allowed to go ham. You have Maxwell, who doesn't have to. We know the damage that these players can do if they're not worried of who's behind them. Okay, RCB has some fairly decent depth in their batting. For once, they're not reliant on Virat Kohli, completely reliant on Virat Kohli, because Virat hasn't been doing too well. He's been doing decently, but the crux of their batting is more, I would argue, Glenn Maxwell at the moment has a lot of the onus of scoring, and is one of the like two RCB players who was able to sufficiently score last game. Obviously, we have Maxwell, and then we had DK, who we already talked about, and yeah, I think the problem in the opening is mainly with Faf. Is mainly with Faf, as you mentioned, the 81 strike rate. That
Or
is
just
indeed a
get rid of
concern.
Anuj Rawat, play Mahipal Lomro. There are just so many better options. Rawat is not good enough. They don't even need a keeper. Dinesh Karthik, the KK man, is there. He's a fantastic keeper. By the way, about Dinesh Karthik, he has 151 dismissals as a keeper now, which is second in the IPL, only to MS Dhoni, who's at 163, I think. But yeah, Dinesh Karthik's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, um, I know I said RCB's last in the table of talent, but they've got this new guy, Suyash Prabhudesai, who impressed in his first game with the batting, scoring a quick 30, and his fielding also. His fielding was really solid
Yeah, I
against
mean,
CSK.
yeah, RCB, as I mentioned, RCB is the only silver lining in the RCB game against CSK was the Indian lower middle order, in Prabhudev, as you just mentioned, and Shabazz Ahmed, who we talked about, who you mentioned slightly before, and then you obviously have DK, who's the most consistent RCB batsman, one of probably the most consistent batsmen in the IPL right now, in terms of the position that he plays, the role that he plays, and yeah, against CSK, it was the only DK's only dismissal in the entire tournament so far, and so yeah, that's the only silver lining that came out of it, and they carried that form into the DC match. As I mentioned, it was like RCB was in a very dark spot in the DC game, and then the two batsmen who saved it at the end. Even after match seasonings, they were in a pretty bad spot. The two batsmen who saved it at the end were the lower middle order Indian contingent. Man's on mute.
Yeah, just wanted to mention condolences to Harshal Patel's family. He
Yeah,
just
yeah,
lost his sister, and that's why he missed one game for RCB. And we saw in that game how important Harshal Patel is to them, because RCB gave away a lot of runs, and he's been the key for RCB this season. Who would have thought at the start of 2021, where when they just transferred him in, that we would have said Harshal Patel is the key to RCB's bowling attack, and he would be leading them. But
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
world we live in now, and he's been doing really well. He's really important to them, and hopefully now when he comes back, he performs solid for them, because I think he's put in enough performances now to show that he's crucial to India's plans in the future in T20 as too. So good luck to him, and hopefully he does well. That's all for today. I think we've covered all the 11 teams. We'll just get on to our weekly awards.
Oh
So
no, I
Vivid,
forgot about it
who's
again.
your you keep forgetting about it. I'll put you on the spot. I'll answer first so that you have some time
No,
to
no.
think.
Okay, no, no,
But
no.
my
Give me
no,
the
no, I
first
will
answer.
answer first so that you can't take my players. Okay, so
No.
my
I'm screwed. Okay.
no, okay, so my performance of the week is probably Rahul Tripathi. He did it against KKR, but that 71 and 37, it was just joy to watch. I just love him. He strikes it magnificently. He's a great stroke player. Love everything about Rahul Tripathi. My player of the week is Hardik Pandya. He bowls well, he bats well, he feels well, he can do nothing wrong. He's probably the MVP of the tournament so far. And hopefully that injury he had, which left him out of the CSK Gujarat game, isn't too serious and he gets back soon. So my player of the week is Hardik Pandya, and my performance of the week is Rahul Tripathi against KKR. What about you?
Okay, this is fine. Because that wasn't who I had in mind. Uh, My performer of the week is DK. We talked extensively about DK. He's extremely consistent. Even in the CSK match where RCB got pummeled, he was as long as DK was alive in the match, you could see that RCB had some hope because he is what every CSK fan has always wanted Dhoni to be, and he probably does it better than Dhoni did. Unpopular opinion, okay? Dhoni is great, and I'm not saying Dhoni does. I'm saying even in like say 2017 to 19, DK right now is a more apt finisher, more consistent finisher, more reliable finisher than Dhoni, and that's partly because he reads the situation incredibly well. He doesn't unnecessarily take it to the wire. He alleviates the pressure off the batsman on the other end. He's incredibly calm, just like Dhoni is. He's definitely my performer of the week, obviously for his contribution in the RCB DC match, which won them the game. Let's be frank here. If it wasn't for that DC innings, there's no way that RCB would have reached that 190 total that they did. Performance of the week. Yeah, I'm gonna just be lazy here. I'll go with as I just talked about the DK innings against DC. You're unmuted.
No, you have to go with a separate player. Why not like Shivam Dubey's 96 or something?
Okay, I'll give it to Uttapa because I feel like
Uttapa
Dubey
88.
Dubey was able to score his 96 off the back of Uttapa sort of being a little bit aggressive at the start and pulling CSK out of their uh, out of a tough spot when they were about I think 40 for 3 or 40 for 2 or 3.
You
I'm not
really don't want to give the props to Dubey, do you?
No,
You
I do
guys.
not. As much as a Dubey denier, Dubey hater Om is, I'm also not. I was not the biggest fan of Dubey. I mean, now it's hard not to like him, but I'll still give props to Uttapa over Dubey.
Okay, so that's it for today, guys. That's it for our IPL Week 3 recap. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, check out our other videos if you haven't seen them. We have some good content coming over the next week with clips and shorts. Check out our Spotify and our Apple Podcasts and every other
Thing.
music platform we use to put our podcast on. If you're watching it on those, make sure to check out our YouTube and subscribe. We post a lot more content here, like on shorts.
Yes, check
But
out
yeah,
our
that's it
shorts.
for
Okay,
yeah.
our shorts are fun. We post like a short every single day, and if you guys don't have time to watch the whole show, there's no
Yeah,
point in
it's,
saying
it's
like
just
yo.
60 seconds maximum.
Yeah, shorts are
Um,
short.
yeah, if you don't know what shorts are, they're like TikToks basically,
That's
but
not a
better
good
because
selling
we're
point.
doing them.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're
But
doing
better
that.
because we are doing them.
Yes.
But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Join us next week for our week 4 recap. Hopefully, we have another exciting week of cricket. And see you guys next time. Bye.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. CSK GT is getting interesting. Goodbye.